I like cold beverage, yeah. I like cold beverage, yeah. I like cold beverage, yeah.
We're gonna fill beer bottles with beer out of my kegs without using a Blakeman beer gun or a counterpressure bottle filler. We're really gonna spend about $10 worth of parts to do this. Let's talk about the parts we're gonna have to assemble to make this bottle filler. The first is about a 1 foot long section of 3/8 racking cane that's been cut off, and most people have a broken one of these laying around. So you want to cut an angle on one of the ends, a 45-degree angle or so that you're not stopping the flow of beer at the bottom of the bottle. You're going to need a stopper that's appropriate for the opening of a beer bottle. And I'll show you how that fits right in the neck of a beer bottle. Next thing you're going to need is a picnic faucet set with your beer out keg disconnect, about 5 feet of 3/16 tubing, and a cheap $3 picnic faucet. So I usually take the top post out of the disconnect so that you can free flow the sanitizer through the tubing, and I just throw everything else into my container of sanitizer. So I'm just going to mix up a little bit of iodophor solution here. It's slightly more concentrated than it needs to be because I'm adding it to some additional water I have here. And I just figured out a trick in order to pump sanitizer through the thin tubing, which is sometimes difficult to get to flow if you just coil it under the sanitizer. Just like it fits the racking cane, it also fits the neck of the cane of an auto siphon. And as long as you have your disconnect down in the sanitizer, you can use the auto siphon to pump sanitizer through the inside of the tubing. And now if you just let that sit, you know that there's close your faucet, and now you know that it's full of sanitizer and it's going to be sitting there that way. Of course, you also want to sanitize the inside of your bottle, so you can go ahead and drop these in the sanitizer. Of course, don't forget to sanitize your bottle caps as well. And we're going to let those sit in there for 5 minutes. A few things we need to do to the kegs and the pressure itself. We don't want to pour and foam up too much, so we want to reduce the pressure on the kegs to about 3 psi. So I'm going to trace back which gas line I'm using here. I'm going to vent this. And it might be slight paranoia on my part, but I also like to disconnect whatever beer line connectors are on the keg and soak a little bit of iodophor into a paper towel and just give it a quick wipe down. Alright, I dumped out the sanitizer from these bottles and I placed them upside down in a 6-pack holder to drip dry, and once that happens, we're going to put these bottles in the freezer. Now we can assemble the bottle side. And remember, the blunt end goes in the faucet. And now we're ready to go. You might think I'm nuts, but I like to put this hose assembly in the freezer along with the bottles. Anything you can do to keep the beer from warming up on its way to the bottle, the better. Okay, so we're going to put the bottles in the freezer. And just so that we don't pick up any contaminants in the freezer, I just have a Ziploc bag here. And we just want to protect the portion of the cane that's actually going into the bottle and the end of the connector. So the first thing you want to do is connect your connector to the keg and release all the foam out of the line until you run some clear beer through there. Then tip it up, put your bottle on there, and insert the stopper like that. Now you can open up your picnic faucet. Now as the beer flows into the bottle, it's going to be building pressure up into the bottle. And if you use your finger to just push on the side of the stopper to deform it a little bit, you can get, see if you can see that beer coming up. You don't want to go too fast. You don't want too much of the pressure to be released and you'll get a lot of that CO2 out of solution. But as I watch it, there's only about a 1/16 of an inch of foam on the top of there, which is exactly what you want. And you want to slow it down as you get to the top. And you want to fill it to the very top because as you pull this out, it's going to leave a little bit of space. So there's about maybe an inch of headspace, and I'm actually going to top it off just a little bit more. I don't want any air in there. I'd rather have a little bit of foam at the very top that I put the cap on. Okay. So you can see that there's just a little bit of headspace in there. And I'm going to put the cap on this immediately. I'm not going to cap it just yet. I want any little bit of CO2 that wants to come out of solution to fill that headspace before I put the cap on permanently. And just repeat for all the rest.
I like cold beverage,